And interest rates are going to go down on mortgages. I think they're 4.37 for the 30-year fixed. We're going down to 3 3/8%. That's my guess over the next year. And it's still not going to make people run out and buy a house, because my projection is over the next 2 years, the house prices will fall 10 to 20% from current levels. So why would you do that? And then, if I'm right, you might bump along the bottom for a minimum of 8 years, and maybe as much as 30, 40, 50. We don't know. It's a place to live. It's not an investment. Pretty simple. And it's already been proven to you. Those who listened to this program 5 years ago sold their houses. 2005, 2006, 2007. They get out with their skin. The rest of the people are stuck. And I still tell people who are underwater to get out. I run into people who have $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 worth of equity in their home still. I tell them to sell at any price. It's cheaper to rent. This whole house of cards is coming down.
We find that around the United States, in Nashville, Tennessee, there's over 1,500 homes that were flooded out during the floods this last year, within the last 6 months. 1,500 vacant homes where the people have literally walked away from their mortgages, walked away from the homes, vacated them, and turned their keys into the bankers. And in many cases that didn't turn the keys in, they received notices via forwarded mail, and for foreclosures, and they said, got in touch with their mortgage company and says the house was destroyed by the flood. We vacated to save our lives and our the belongings we have. Here's the keys. Mr. Chapman, people are rising up across America in the last 3 or 4 months to the point of they're walking around on pins and needles. There's another march this next weekend on Washington to telling Washington that they're tired of all of this spending with no way to pay for it all. And the question that comes to mind is, are the American people, or do you see it from outside the country, are American people continuing to leave the country en masse? I can't find any reports here anymore. They
won't give you any. No, they're not leaving en masse, but there are more people than ever before leaving and renouncing their citizenship, many of them. The people who are renouncing their citizenship are people who usually have lived in foreign countries for more than 5 years and have dual citizenship. And so those who have dual citizenship are getting out. And those who have been living outside the country, who have attained in the last several years dual citizenship, they're renouncing. And they don't want any part of it, and I can't blame them. A lot of people are leaving, especially professional people. And we get about, I'd say, 10, 15 letters a week. How do I go about it? And where do I go? Especially from doctors and dentists. In fact, in Saturday's issue, I've got a piece from someone who lives in Ontario, Canada. And there's an ad there. There's a link to an ad saying we need doctors, badly. So, if you want to leave the United States, come here, we got a job for you. What the terms are, I don't know. In Canada, the taxes are very stiff. So people got to make that decision. But that is happening. And it will increase until things get really bad and you can't get out or can't get your money out. That brings up another thing. Government wants to track and make a record of and compile data on every wire transfer from the outside into the United States and from in the United States out. They want to know who's doing what. And what they're trying to do is back into your assets so they can control them. And they're going to try to get legislation to do that this coming year. And they're also going to try to get legislation to control the Internet. And once they do that, they'll have a revolution on their hands. And the next will be blog talkers and all of these outside-the-box radio stations. They're going to try to shut them all down. And by that time, you'll have a complete corporatist fascist government. And I don't think you want to live in the United States. Because it'll be just like Nazi Germany, probably even worse. And so that's what you got to look forward to as Americans, unless you can throw all these people out of office in November and change things. If you don't do that, you're a goner. It's over.
There's a Marine here coming in from Malaysia saying that in Malaysia there's a major shortage of doctors. So if Mr. Chapman knows any doctors that are moving out of the United States, they want to live in a part of the world that's heaven, where the climate doesn't get cold or and you can put up with the heat. Come to Malaysia. We're in dire need of doctors.
Well, I'll mention that to all of the people who come to me who are looking for places to move to, and especially doctors. And we get a lot of them. This Health Reform Act, not only does it have 19 new taxes, but it's a disaster. And polls that were taken before the vote show that 25% of doctors and dentists will either stop practicing or leave the country. And that means you're not going to be able to easily get operations, get taken care of, get your teeth done. It's not going to be very good.
Major shortage. And here's another IM from... I'm a retired Air Force, live here in Panama, and believe it or not, here in Panama is not that bad of a place to live, except for you don't want to live on the East Coast or the West Coast. The Chinese control most of it. If you want to put up with the Chinese, fine. But the rest of the country is a great place to live.
Well, there you go. And we do recommend Panama, and they have a need for professional people as well. And so it's a good place to live. It's drippy there. I've lived there, but it's okay as long as you can handle the heat.
Yeah, if you can, as long as you can handle the heat. No, you took the words right out of his mouth.
Well, I live in a lot of places like that, and it's livable.
Oh, I can believe that. Those of you, if you're a doctor from the South, from Louisiana, Texas, Mississippi, you can definitely handle the heat of Panama. It's not that bad. Mr. Chapman, on the other subject here, what was that question? Ireland is facing a horrendous bank bill. You mentioned before about the massive amount of money that is to be bailed out. With the way the Irish feel, do you feel that those people are going to stand up and come to fisticuffs, much like what's going on in Iceland? But nobody's talking about the riots in Iceland and the riots in Spain this last day, yesterday.
I've covered them. Most have not covered it, and they had demonstrations, big ones in France as well. I think Ireland and Greece, there's a good chance that they'll just walk away from the whole thing, and I don't blame them. The Eurozone had a rule, and that was that everybody would have the same interest rate. And from the very beginning when I wrote about it, I said that everything would be disastrous if they did that. And they did it, and the interest rates were too low for Ireland, Portugal, Greece, and Spain. Not so much in Greece, and not so much in Italy, but in those three countries, Ireland, Spain, Portugal, they were really too low, and they had these giant real estate booms like America had, and forget it. I mean, they're as bad off as we are, if not worse. And so that was the key. That's what caused it all.
Understood. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Drew Rains with Mr. Bob Chapman, the International Forecaster. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. This is Drew Malone Rains III, a Marine Disposition, and we have with us Mr. Bob Chapman, the International Forecaster.com. That's the three W's, the International Forecaster, FORECASTER.com. Mr. Chapman is the most pleasurized financial advisor out there. And you've got questions? Give us a call. The phone number is 347-308-8047. Or you can place questions in one of the three chat rooms that we have running. Those of you that are listening on the phone bridge, just push 1. We've got the phone bridges in 2 different countries now that you can have the availability to listen to the show and hit 1. If you're calling in from outside the United States, just call the U.S. code, and then 347-308-8047. I know we've got listeners in the Cayman Islands. I know we have listeners in Caracas, Venezuela. I know we have listeners in every clime and every place out there around the world. So give a call. This is a chance that you can get your questions asked. And the first one that comes up, Mr. Chapman, is why buy stocks when you can buy gold?
I'll tell you why. Because during the Great Depression, gold doubled in price. The gold shares, the gold and silver shares, went up 500% while the market was collapsing. That's during a depression, a deflation. Between 1978 and 1981, the average gold and silver share went up 40 times the price of gold bullion.